I think as well as a ban from G2 is smart, because Exileh is really good on these 1v1 skirmish picks, and Unicorns love to play this 1-3-1. So I would expect a Rise to come in here, or maybe as the last ban.
The Shen is the other one that we feel like has to come through, because Chachi has done so very well. The response likely from the Unicorns is going to be to ban out the Rek'Sai. Get rid of it. Don't allow a first pick for Trick. He's played it a lot.
Now this Malzahar ban is really surprising. Like, we were trying to figure out what Unicorns would ban. We only locked down Shen as the one, and then everything else was kind of up for grabs here. I definitely do not agree with banning Malzahar in Game 1 in a BO5.
Very interesting, because, you know, we've talked a lot about how mid lane meta has changed on this patch. We're expecting G2 to have picked up Taliyah or Aurelion Sol. We feel like they have to have picked up one, otherwise they're really going to be behind. Now, the Aurelia ban, I know you had written on your paper as well, this should open up a little bit more of the Gnar for the Unicorns, should they be able to get it.
So, Sivir coming in as well. Yeah, we talked about Aurelia, you mentioned it. Chachi obviously is a great Aurelia player. Now, I would prefer Rek'Sai first pick if you want to go for a jungler here. I think it's a good pick for move, and I think it's a fantastic pick for Trick. Echo is another good choice as a flex, but I do feel you can get Echo later on in the rotation. I don't think Unicorns necessarily is like, we need Echo no matter what, because Gnar is still open as well.
Exactly, and then Gnar, if this is not a Rek'Sai, will likely be paired with that on the first rotation for Unicorns, which is one of the reasons they can get away with the Sivir.
Yeah, they go ahead and take the Rek'Sai. Okay, so you guys are right so far. Spin me another prediction over on Unicorn's side.
Well, so Gnar is available. Has been a very contested pick by a lot of players. We know Unicorns actually like to play against it because they have the cannon. So that makes it a little bit harder to predict. But with this Malzahar ban, it almost tells me Vladimir becomes a very high priority pick, because we have seen teams play Malz into Vlad before. And with them banning it on purple side, surely then Vlad would be the go-to choice for Exileh. Not in first rotation, but later on, something we need to look for. We talked about the Gnar. It's locked in.
This is now very interesting. I expect Unicorns to last pick their support here, because there's a good Jin's about to come out from G2. Into the Ashe, in the laning phase, they want that matchup, which means Unicorns have to reserve their support to flip the matchup back in their favor. You cannot afford to be counterpicked. This is something Reckless was just going nuts about on the desk yesterday while we were watching the lanes.
Also because Unicorns obviously show top lane at this early, giving G2 the chance to counterpick top. Not that there's a whole lot of counter picks for Gnar. We've seen Echo quite a few times as quite a skill matchup early, where you have pressure on the Echo side in the start. We've also seen Gangplank, and that's gone horribly wrong quite often. But we get the logic behind it. I wonder if G2 wants to steal away this Vlad. We talked about it with the Malzahar ban.
They do.
And they do steal it away from poor Exileh.
Yeah, so it begs the question now, do Unicorns have something to deal with it on the other side, because they banned the Malzahar thinking maybe we don't want to pick this and have it played against, but maybe they have their own counter pick.
Risky for Unicorns to show support already. I think Mithy might just go Tahm Kench as the last pick, you know. It's good against some of these melee supports. It's good against Ashe as well. Suddenly Tahm Kench becomes a fantastic pick for him.
And we've also seen 2 games of the Taric come out from Mithy as well. It's a champion that does very well into a melee matchup, which is why I expect Unicorns to move away from picking their support. The Elise, for once, is actually available and is a decent matchup when you look at early pressure up against the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, my concern is just, again, the amount of single target CC then against the potential Tahm Kench. G2 is one of the first teams to pick Tahm Kench as a late support choice, because he would counter so many of these pick compositions. I think it would be a good choice here for Mithy, definitely against what's been drafted by Unicorns. Also in Nivea, we've seen it as a counter pick. I use that term very loosely to Vladimir, mainly outside of laning phase, where you can try and kite him around.
Exileh's played it a little bit more than some of the other mids here in Europe, however, and he's had more success on it. Only in 3 games, he's only won 2 of them, but nonetheless. We'll see if that works out in the lane, see if it works out for them later on down the line. G2 on their last rotation.
Just go Tahm Kench.
Yeah, I completely agree. If you go the Tahm Kench here, it does now kind of remove a lot of this single target crowd control. Unicorns will have a lot of crowd control.
Yes.
The one thing that you can guarantee, though, is you're going to burn Mithy's flash when you have to aim that arrow at the Tahm Kench. With him on the map, that kind of becomes public enemy number 1. You've got to get him, otherwise he's just going to eat whoever you arrow. I expect the GP to come through here and play for a later game out of Expect. This is G2 recognizing the Unicorns have the advantage in the top lane, but it is not significant enough to crush this matchup and cost them the game. So they'll look to play for a later game of wave clear with GP.
Yeah, I'm a little bit scared though, for G2 here. I think they're kind of drafting what Unicorns were hoping they would draft. As you said, the late game scaling, GP can really get bullied after Frozen Mallet is completed on Gnar. Elise, we know how strong she is in terms of early ganking. Move is a jungler who just ganks. He farms champions, not jungle camps. So Unicorns have a legit chance to snowball top lane here against G2's draft. But at the same time, once we get out of laning phase, this time Kench can deny a lot of engage opportunities from the Unicorns. We know they want to play aggressive. Last pick support, probably nothing fancy gonna come in here.
But
Braum
at the same time,
standard.
if this is the Braum, it doesn't really do much, right? This isn't a last pick that blows the draft out of the water. It's a last pick that can play defensive around the Ashe, has crowd control.
I do think it's a pick, though. I do agree. It doesn't, like, you know, win the game for Unicorns, but I do think Braum is actually a good team fighting pick against Vlad and Gangplank. You can block quite some damage. When Vladimir dives in, you can ulti him, knock him up, you know, stop him from reaching that back line or force him to pull very early, and then he's actually a fairly squishy target you can take down. So Braum does have quite some value in team fighting here for Unicorns of Love. It won't, like, win them the laning phase specifically. And I just want to see if Move can snowball Chachi against this Gangplank, because Expect is the weakest link on G2.
I'm looking forward to seeing how G2 can play this out. Very similar comps to what H2K were running yesterday in their game against Splice. Sometimes it worked for them, other times it wasn't. The crowd are already counting us down, Pyro. You know what that means. We're about to get into game one.
Yes, it is. The champs are locked in. You've seen the draft. The rift is all ready. Now let's get into game one of this semifinal between G2 Esports and the Unicorns of Love.
They have been quite dominant this split. They are clearly the favorites against us. I don't think they are invincible as a team.
So Unicorn is definitely a good team, but they're gonna need something more to win versus us.
I have the feeling that Expect is kind of like a more passive laner, and I think that's something we can abuse.
The Veritas and Hylissang don't stand a chance versus Zven and mithy.
Well, here we are. G2 Esports, Unicorns of Love, a #1 seed, heavy favorites, facing off against the Unicorns here. And G2, well, you had a bit of worries in the draft, Officio.
I think the way Unicorns can win games against G2 is by camping the top lane. It sounds very simple, very easy, very predictable, but Chachi is a fantastic top laner, especially 1v1. He is great. Move is an early game pressure jungler who wants to camp, especially solo laners. He's been camping for Exileh during the split, he's been camping for Chachi during the split. It is going to be the strategy for Unicorns in this early game. If Expect can survive, sit back, scale up to late, it's going to be okay. But there's also a high chance he dies a few times early.
Well, I mean, if you're on G2, you have to recognize that as well.
For sure.
This isn't a hidden secret coming into this week, which is another reason why I like the Gangplank coming out. Something we're going to see more and more is these first back rotations up into the top lane when you have a winning top laner like the Gnar. The GP denies so much of that because you just cut the wave away. Unicorns don't have that as an option anymore to look for that first tower gold.
Yeah, definitely agree on GP, but also Tahm Kench makes it even easier for you to lane swap. Because of his ulti, you can obviously appear very quickly in these lanes from base, and then, as you said, use the GP ulti to deny when the enemy wants to push for that tower. You just clear the wave, and suddenly you win that push. So we can definitely see a G2 lineup try and swap out of this bottom lane and try and put some pressure on Chachi with more members than just Expect on his own. Once we get past the 5-minute mark. Obviously, we got to get past 5 minutes.
You can see a little difference between Trick and some of the other junglers here in Europe. Yesterday, we saw Jankos start on the Raptor camp on Rek's side when his duo lane were taking Perkz. That was to go from the one camp to red buff and go bottom lane for a cheese gank very early on. G2 not looking to utilize this as their very early pressure off one buff. It may come a little later if he does choose to go bot.
Yeah, I do see this path very often where you do Grump Wolves into red buff, you smite the red buff, and then you're level 3, and then you go for that first gank if someone is pushing anywhere, or you just contest the Rift Scuffle. In this situation here, Trick very clearly wants to do close to a full clear. He's obviously not done his blue buff, he's saving that one for later, so you don't need it on your first clear as a Rek'Sai. But you want to be able to contest Rift Scuffler very early on bottom side, because these bot lanes, very often it's about who can get the push early, who can get the push first. You don't want to risk the enemy jungler showing up and obviously annoy you in that 2v2 lane, so try and fight for that vision. You can see move on your minimap is now moving down to do exactly that.
And you could also see the way G2 were pushing the wave out as well. The Rek'Sai is not going to be able to come in here in the early game. They want to utilize this Jhin, some of the presence that he has early on, to kind of put Veritas and Hylissang behind, because there are a lot of questions about this dual lane for these Unicorns. Now that we're coming into a 2v2 meta, how are they going to fare against Europe's best?
Yeah, well, at the moment, the mid is having a little bit of fun here. Perkz will find himself quite low as Exileh flashes forward. Perkz pulls away from it. But back to that bottom lane.
Oh, first.
Oh, yeah, okay, first, all right.
Definitely don't
I know
agree
you want to hit on that.
with Exileh flashing here when pool is available, unless he thought he was still on cooldown from a trade we didn't get to see on screen while we were looking at move, and maybe he mistimed the cooldown slightly.
It's too early for that. We're only 3 minutes into the game, so the first time that Perkz would have been trying to flash there, it was Exileh looking to try and flash so that he could get an auto that connects with the pool, as you said.
Right, yeah, but I mean, like, if Vladimir's pool is available, you never flash for that one.
Nope.
He's just going to pool out of it, and then you lose a summoner for absolutely nothing. So, don't agree with Exileh's play here, but he is showing his play style, where he wanted to be really aggressive early on and always want to look for these kills.
Yeah, I mean, we even heard it from Perkz earlier on, talking
Stupid
about how...
aggression.
Yeah, that was the quote exact to use. And in all
Coming from Perkz.
He got two... He used 2 of his summoners to just get 1 out of Perkz, and not the one with the longer cooldown.
Yep.
So, in all honesty, Perkz should be pretty happy with that. He hasn't really lost out on too much farm, and with Exileh having to back, he's actually able to gobble up even more of it faster before the junglers even are going to get involved.
Now we're at the point, though, Pyro, where we want to see the junglers get involved. We want to see special moves, try and pull off a gank.
Your wish may be granted soon. Who's hanging around?
He's around the Raptor camp. He's ganking the Raptors for now, but
was trick.
it's really hard for him now to do anything mid when they don't have flash on Anivia. Can't really overcommit for anything. Bot lane is under pressure 24/7 by Zven and mithy. It's really only top lane right now you can gank, but he's still on bottom side.
Trick sees this.
We'll realize, though, that both junglers know where the other are. That were obviously freshly placed. Only one person could have done that. Bottom lane, very interestingly, Zven and mithy had a back timing, or at least Zven did. Picked up 2 longswords, returns to lane, and now they have not only the potion advantage, but also just the additional damage now from the extra longsword. So they're looking to compound this lead again and again, and try and push in the unicorns constantly.
Yeah, when you play a Ghostblade AD carry against a BF Sword first item AD carry, normally you would think, oh, if I can recall on like 1100 gold against Serrated Dirk, that's great, and he doesn't get a BF Sword, but that almost never happens. That timing is so hard to hit, because the other guy needs like 1 extra wave to get BF Sword. So it's actually better to recall on double longsword, because if the enemy AD carry recalls at the same time, he only gets a pickaxe. And that is not the greatest if you want to go like BF Sword first item, especially because you want to go Essence Reaver on Ashe, so it doesn't really work that well for you. Then it's actually better, as Zven did here, recall on double longsword, because then on your next back, you can get Serrated Dirk and another longsword most likely, and you just have a nice little simple power slide going forward with a lot of early attack damage, which is what you need. And Move is still on bottom side, hovering around this mid lane all the time. The Perkz still has flash, Ghost, and Pool.
Yeah, his Ghost is back up, and Move actually staying bottom side has punished himself there with his trick. They knew he was bottom side. You can assume he's cleared out his jungle, and Move goes in, finds no jungle camps, can't find a gank, only finds vision control on the bottom side. So that may come in handy, but you have to realize that Move actually got nothing from that when it comes to experience and gold.
And Stresh, you and me, 5 minutes ago, we talked about how G2 will look to try and swap the 2v2 lane. Because again, they want to make sure GP is not going to be in any sort of trouble 1v1. They got a good push on bottom lane and an early swap now with mithy and Zven to top side to try and push in this Gnar here. What's very important to you guys before you make this little swap is that you have a wave pushing on top side. So you have a few extra minions build up that pushes towards the enemy turret, so you have more minions when you get to tower that deals extra damage on these turrets here. So expect build up the wave, push it forward. Then G2 joins with Zven and mithy, gets a bit of damage, but Unicorns are on their way to react, and it might have a fight starting.
Yeah, Chucky still got a few seconds of Mega Gnar. He does get the stun off onto mithy. They don't know Expect is there, rather they should know. Gnar's in back against the wall. Cannon barrage is out. Gray health is on. Move wants to finish the job, but there's an exhaust on, and he just can't get it done. Expect is parlaying. Exile's in egg form. Perkz just keeps it happening, and Trick secures first blood in the mid lane.
And it's all because of that flash not being available from earlier. Typically, Anivia, very safe. You flash under your own tower. Looked like Exileh pushed forward in the lane. We'll get the replay fully, but being that far up without flash, without the read on where Trick was, means Exileh easily punished.
Yeah, this is the thing. 1, you waste your flash when there was pool available earlier. 2, You then push forward when your entire team is making a play on top side and you haven't even seen the enemy jungler. 2 big mistakes from a rookie, and it cost him very, very early in this game. That's the first blood now for G2, and to survive the gank or the fight in top lane.
Yeah, they have definitely been making sure they don't reveal any weaknesses as mithy sidesteps away from the Winter's Bite, finds a move, finds himself in a spot of bother. Gets stunned up. He's not got the great health just yet. Move takes him down. Trick is tagging himself in. Repels up for move. But he has to come right back on down. And Hylissang trying to body block. But Zven with the snipe. And Hylissang hops back to Veritas. It's a 1-for-1.
Big crit came out from that last shot from Zven. mithy was desperately hammering on that grey health to try and get it. Couldn't quite get it before he falls. But eventually the kill goes over to Zven. It was the one that went over to move in exchange. So I think G2 ultimately may be happy with that. GP Ultimate is not yet available to deny this push, but I don't think this is going to be too successful.
Yeah, Hylissang, he has to ulti out. Now there's the curtain call. Trick a little bit low, but it's Veritas who has to block for Hylissang. 3 shots of the curtain call, and that is going to be it.
Unicorn staying around this top side, despite being against a red buff Jhin. Trick obviously was nearby. Exileh trying to set up another play, but there is a ward that would spot him right now. Unicorns are really trying to be aggressive on this top side and gank the G2 bottom lane, but it's a Tahm Kench as well. You don't really want to dive Tahm Kench specifically. Obviously, before he wasn't there, so this is the play. Exileh, he sees Perkz low. Perkz is baiting this one.
Oh, well, we had some audio by telling that Elise wasn't in the middle lane, apparently, on that one.
Yeah,
but,
that was classic bait.
The bait coming out from Perkz. To be honest, you can see why Exileh wanted to go aggressive.
Yeah,
like he's 200 health. It makes sense.
But it's a Vladimir. Vladimir has so many ways to stay alive, stop your damage from happening. And again, as you just heard Perkz say, like, Elise wasn't there. She was topside. So it was a very easy play for G2 to execute.
And Exileh had no mana on that. He ignites instantly, but he's got nothing to follow it up with. And then instantly, boom, out of the shadows comes Trick. So yeah, easy peasy. As we hit the 10-minute mark here, you can see the difference. G2 have already established themselves 1,000 and some change in that gold lead. Teleport gets spent by Chachi down bottom side.
And this game has, in many ways, gone kind of the way a lot of people expect early for G2, where Move is this ganking jungler who doesn't really get any proper ganks off. He's only been involved in one, and then he's actually been on the wrong side of the map for most of it. So he falls really far behind. Look at this. 35 to now 60 CS on the side of Trick. And then at the same time, G2 opts into like swapping out of these standard lanes very quickly and say, you know what, we're going to play macro. We're not going to just sit here and like allow you to camp out top lane or potentially camp him. Let's swap the game around. Whenever Expect will feel under pressure, I think G2 can just swap one more time and constantly just stop Move from actually having an impact.
And I think a lot of people will look at like the 80 carry CS different move. Hang on. Perkz. And
He's going to be okay.
Just to go back to this Move point, he just hit level 7. Trick has been level 9 for quite some time. Like, he was 3 levels down 10 seconds ago.
And where I was going to go with that is people will see the gold difference and wonder where it's coming from. It is the gold on just the farm from junglers. Perkz and Exileh trading away. So that is basically what is separating these two teams, is just Trick farming up a storm. Exileh's got to be careful here. Here comes Trick.
Boy, he does have the flash this time. Not anymore. Opts to use that to get out of harm's way. Throws a few shards back Trick's way, but Perkz already ghosted on. So Summoner's traded there, but Exileh finds himself on the low end of the health bars. mithy and Trick on a roam throughout the jungle. Move is going to have some trouble getting some of his own camps with mithy and Trick there.
Yeah, that's a problem as a jungler. If you start falling behind, you can't really contest your own camps properly.
Okay, we might have this one-on-one. Does Expect not even need to use his oranges?
Expect has basically done his job. Don't die. No matter what. You can lose by 20 CS, it's okay. Just do not die in the bottom lane. If they ever try and do anything, you just run away from the tower. Just run away, don't do anything. That has been his job so far. And I mean, while it is a fairly easy job, he's been doing it pretty well.
He actually made a play a lot earlier on in this. After the initial exchange top, he TP'd down bottom lane, which gave away TP advantage that G2 possibly could have had, or at least had it even. But Unicorns didn't make a play from Chachi's TP. And what it meant was he absorbed quite a large wave bottom lane, got him a little bit more comfortably through the game when it came to experience and a little bit of farm. Otherwise, he'd probably be substantially further behind here, like 40 CS, but he's got himself, as you said, through the early game. He can use his ultimate now to deny a lot of plays out from the Unicorns, and this is a G2 game. Wait for Expect to be a little bit stronger. They're waiting for Perkz as well at the same time.
Yeah, and if you guys were watching yesterday, European LCS Splice versus H2K, we had this GP and Dinar matchup quite often. Wonder obviously played the Dinar, and he got super fed in a lot of the games and actually just took over the game completely because Trashy would camp for him early, give him a few kills, give him Frozen Mallet Black Cleaver, and he would just 1v9. Chachi would love to do the same, but because Unicorns have not put pressure on Expect himself, because Move has been, I don't know what he's even doing. He's just been on the wrong side of the map for half of the early game. Not being able to gank anything, falling super far behind on Thorn, and now he's basically out of the game as an Elise.
And that kind of sums it up. Like, Trick just comes in, steals his lunch money, walks on out pretty easily. 20 CS ahead, he's had such a bigger impact across the map. And this is the difference in caliber of players. This is where we were worried about the Unicorns of Love, as up in the top side, Hylissang and Veritas have a bit to be worried about, but the Prey Seeker only alerts them.
And without a big fight in the top lane, this is something that's going to slow the game down. That's not a big problem for G2, but a lot of people will say, well, why aren't they expanding that lead? Big trade bottom lane.
Oh, Big Gnar, but he's now Mega, or Mini rather. Can he get the damage done in the cannon barrage? He can! And Chachi is even able to swag himself some farm.
Finally, Chachi gets his kill here down the bottom lane. He is the man who needs to carry if Unicorns wants to win this game.
You had one job, Expect.
One job, Expect. Don't take the trade. Give up the farm, but Trick is on his way.
Uh-oh, Prey found! Chachi trying to boomerang, but it will not be enough. Trick gets revenge.
Gets him with the Prey Seeker, and Trick, that play has just held perhaps this early game now for G2, because Unicorns would have looked to have used that first tower blood from bottom side. Move and Perkz, though.
Uh-oh, curtain call. Oh, Move is going to have to repel up and out of harm's way, but Perkz is just waiting for him right onto the Rift Herald. Perkz still chasing Flash over the wall.
Yeah, so the setup Unicorns were going for here relied on Chachi staying alive in the bottom lane and recalling, because he would have TP advantage and no GP ulti. So Move had already walked towards top side. They would have tried to dive G2's bottom lane with Gnar TPing in as well and having a 4v2 dive, because Trick was on bottom side, obviously. Problem is, Chachi died. So now Move is here again.
And that is why you can't kill.
And you don't get your dive. You try and gank.
A Jin with the Tom catch.
Yeah, Mithy gets the flash away. So this entire setup relied on Chachi staying alive, TPing into top. But you also saw Perkz had already left mid lane, because G2 knew the only play possible would be that dive in top lane. So they instantly moved the mid laner, they're ready to defend if needed, and stop Unicorns of Love from doing anything.
And this is the comfort of G2, at least in this situation, where, you know, Trick, during all of that, where the Ash Arrow came out, or at least the attempted engage, had his ultimate. He could have gone across, but this is G2 saying, no, we've got Tahm Kench. Very easy to avoid this situation. We're not going to lose the tower. So Trick just goes and cannon jumps. Takes away what he can from the bottom side from Move. So Move now only has one camp still available, and this is expanding this lead, or at least maintaining the level lead. Move is still only level 8. To the level 11 of Trick. Trick is just farming this entire game because he hasn't been needed too often, and when he has been needed, he's picked up 2 kills and an assist, has been very infrequently in the lanes, but has been very effectively when he gets it.
He has been efficient, and that is what we've not seen out of Move. This is why there's now a 2-level differential. It was, as you said just a moment ago, 3. And Trick can just do whatever the hell he wants right now. Unicorns basically have to play not a man down, but a much less effective man in the jungle, and Move has got his work cut out for him to try and get back into it. So little he can do right now.
Yeah, would have loved to see a Tiamat on the side of Trick, just to make him even stronger now that he is so far ahead. But he's decided to go pure vision and opting for the side stone with the Chilling Smite instead. They're going for this top tower. It's just the first.
Yes.
There we go. All right, that's the first brick gold they managed to secure, so that extends the gold lead. As Chachi was trying to work on it on the bottom side, he does get a Gnar ulti against Expect, but he's taking tower shots, and Expect can just walk it out.
And you have to ask, not to constantly target Move, but it is very easy to target him in this game because he's just not doing well.
But that's what the problem he has, is that he either goes huge or he goes home.
Sure.
We've seen it time and time again for the Unicorns.
Game 1 is going home.
Yeah.
That's
well, hopefully he actually stays in the studio. But
he will stay, I hope, at least.
That might be a little problematic.
But bottom lane, again, when you have this Gnar already winning 1v1 and constant pushing in, if you send your Elise down to bottom side, you guarantee that first tower. And G2 actually spent quite some time getting that top tower.
Oh, Veritas. Hylissang's blocking there, but Trick and Mithy are incoming. The knock-up! And they do the job. Braum gets the ulti out, but he does not save the life of Veritas, and he's getting smited. can't go anywhere. And meanwhile, we'll check back in on Perkz. A little bit of revenge. The Ice Shard comes out. Exileh gets one. Flashes and grenades. And Zven picks up Hylissang.
All from just being able to lock him down with that W from Jin. And, you know, there was a return kill in the middle lane. Perkz seemingly didn't have his pool there. I'm sure we'll catch the beginning of that again. But now Trick wants to be able to save this bottom tower again. Chachi only
I do it. Oh, he flashed right into the bush, but he's still way too low on health. Can he get out? He's getting a little hyper. Yes, he will escape. Unicorn should be able to finish off the tower. And Exileh, you saw the stat a minute ago about, you know, he has the most kills in the LCS. He's going to need quite a few more to save this game.
But here, G2 overcommitted top lane. It was enough with the GP ulti and the gank from Trick. They didn't need to expect to also teleport in behind Unicorns, because then suddenly bot lane tower died. And then Perkz also didn't have to get caught out in the mid lane. He died, lost mid tower. So 2 towers actually went in favor of the Unicorns of Love, only losing a few kills. Well, I'll definitely take the towers if I'm the Unicorns and I'm behind on the map. Look at this play here. Look at your minimap, guys. There's a ward near the red buff of Unicorns of Love that expect will use TP to. But by the time he's even there, they've already won this exchange, because Trick is here plus GP ulti. It's guaranteed kills right now. Look at your minimap. Trick is still running from that ward. He's running. He's running. He's now chasing at least slightly. He's like, all right, I'm going to go top then.
And we're back into the fight. All right, Perkz is going to get swallowed up by Mithy. Unicorns are looking to do quite a lot here. In hops Chachi, taking out Mithy, and they get what was inside him. A double kill to Braum. And that's going to be Dragon Start.
It looks like G2 were just trying to get vision control behind the Unicorns of Love a little bit in the jungle to try and take that Infernal Drake a minute later.
Trick is here. Oh, this is real low. He wants to take this one out. Can they get the stun off on him? He stopped the damage. They fight it down. That's going to be the GP ultimate, and Trick will fall after failing the steal. Shutdown courtesy of Veritas. Expecting the picture. This is getting really chaotic right now, and Unicorns have just wiped 3 off the map.
G2 had this game in the bag. They were doing really well early. Their jungler was like 3 levels above the enemy jungler. And then they overcommit for fights, get caught out now near the dragon as well. Even after Trick tries to steal, why does the rest stay around? Leave. He's all inning for this dragon.
Just like that, the gold lead is gone. We're 20 minutes in, and yeah, play us out move. This game has been real crazy. Let's see the start of this fight.
All right, so Perkz walks into River alone to hit the Rift Scuttler. Mithy joins him to try and save him after. That just made no sense why Perkz was there in the first place. And obviously Unicorns, great punish, react instantly, all 5 members around.
Great punish, and as you see Trick coming in, I forget what Hurricane looks like at this point. I'm like, don't damage that, he's going to smite it away. But anyway, Trick gets taken out, easy smite from Elise. So Unicorns, big passage of play for them the last couple of moments. The last few fights have really gone their way. Expect getting taken out, and even Zven having to pull back away from this fight. And this is going to slow down everything that G2 wanted to do here, because what they inevitably want to do is have the Vlad over at one side like they have now, GP in the other, and sit Zven and mithy in the mid lane and look to pivot between top and bottom lane whenever they get the chance, while pushing mid at the same time. But against an Anivia, very difficult to push out to get that tower. And now, with a little bit less momentum on their side, also difficult to find angles to go bottom lane, because look at how much vision control is already there.
Yeah, it's hard to explain how badly G2 just messed up the last 2 minutes. From a top lane play where they overcommit, use too many resources, Perkz getting caught twice now for absolute 0 reason, has just allowed Unicorns to have a 2,000 gold lead. Their jungler has caught up somewhat in terms of gold, just because they've been getting towers. He was further behind before.
Oh yeah.
And also, they get an Infernal Drake. It is crazy to think how badly people just messed up. I would love for the analysts to just watch the last 2 minutes and just point out 500 mistakes.
Yeah, you take a look at the post-game goal graph that you can always go ahead and check out on lolesports.com, and you are going to see quite the cliff that is going to be gone right over. Yeah, G2 really giving up big advantages here. 22 minutes into this game. They also missed out, of course, on that dragon. We talked about the gold swing, but because Unicorns were able to make those big plays, yeah, G2 are going to try to get some more pressure back on the mid turret here, but Unicorns, they're the ones holding strong. 3 towers to 1.
And now we're in a situation where Chachi becomes this bully in the side lane. 2 items completed. Expect can't do anything against him 1v1. So that's a full pressure lane for Unicorns. But then you got to look at, is it a 1-3-1 comp? Well, not really from either. Yeah, Vladimir sits in side lanes, but he pushes and then he roams in and joins the team in the mid lane. He doesn't like win you the game in the side lane. So you look at the 4-man groups against each other. Well, Unicorns drafted this in Nivea because they like it against Vlad in these 4v4 team fights. They have some engage on the side of Ash, which will get denied by Tahm Kench, but it's a kite comp. It's a kite comp against no hard engage on the side of G2. So if G2 wants to play aggressive in this 4-man group around the mid lane, it becomes difficult because this will happen over and over. Poke coming from Unicorns, walls, stuns, whatever you want. And they're going to try and just hit you, run away until they get someone low.
Oh, here's the try. Veritas, he does get caught out. Glacial Fissure, but Veritas is already gone. Exhaust is on Hylissang, trying to stand behind someone, but he has to flash. At the end of the day, Mithy goes down, Exileh finishes him off, and Perkz was trying to take 3 kills at once right there. Gets the egg, but will it be enough to finish the kill? It is. Perkz takes down Exileh, gives his life over to Move, and Move is trying to walk it out, helping out Trick. Hilly blocking on this one, and Trick cannot get the damage.
But everything good the Unicorns just did, they just got caught out with that engage onto Veritas. Still a little overcommitted.
Oh, I expect he's gonna just barely live. You kidding me?
Nice expectations, Pyro, right there. But
they weren't that great, unfortunately.
Veritas, if we get the replay, for some reason couldn't sidestep the snare from Jhin. So that's why he got caught in the GP ulti and ended up dying and just lost him that mid tower.
That's the second time we've seen that too. It happened up top.
Yeah, definitely. Like, so look at this play here. Look at Veritas. He gets slowed down by GP, yes, but he needs to just sidestep this W, and then he gets protection from his team, but no, he gets hit by it. Poor play from him. That means G2 now has a proper engage against the kite composition, can actually deal a lot of damage. We'll obviously end up chasing on the tower here, trying to get more kills. Perkz goes down, making it okay for Unicorns, but sidestep.
This is the thing, though. If Trick was going the Tiamat build, he would instantly have gone in on Move. If he had the damage,
I mean, you have to go Tiamat Rek'Sai. Full tank Rek'Sai does so little right now.
And the reason it does so little is you're now completely reliant on Flash, because all you are is some sense of an engage tool. Not a good one, but some sense. You've got a Flash knock-up, try and get multiple people. And if you can't then take him out afterwards, then that's all you've got. Good luck in the fight. You've got to try and pull away.
I mean, it's just astounding when you remember this is a team that had some of the tightest macro here in Europe. In game number 1, with this composition, they're getting themselves locked out. And you see the results right there. Oh, man. Okay, Trick is coming in. There's the cannon barrage. They're finding damage, but Trick has to get eaten up by Mithy. The curtain call is just not doing enough. They find Move at the last shot, but it will not be enough to find a kill. G2 just don't have it, and look what Chachi's getting done down bottom lane.
Yeah, another odd engage here from G2 where Perkz was pathing from top lane down to the mid lane, but he actually pathed around his own jungle and not through river. So when they engaged, well, he was just basically joining the team and running at Unicorns of Love. And we talked about this, the kite comp, Braum, Ashe, and Nivea, all 3 champions who can kite you, slow you down, and just keep stepping back. If you don't flank them, you don't properly get onto them. Chachi is 1v3.
All right, well, he does get a pretty big gnar. He might take Expect down with him. Not enough damage. Perkz says no.
Oh, I think the snare from Zven just saved the day. Locked him in place so he couldn't get the last hit on Expect. He goes down, but Unicorns get a drag.
Yeah, Unicorns are going to be able to pick up that dragon from that. And, you know, Chachi's nearly at his Guardian Angel as well at that point, so he just completed it. So that's not happening in that exact same scenario again. He's coming up and he'll take an Expect with him. But you saw how much G2 had to put into that bottom side. This Frozen Mallet, Black Cleaver Gnar takes so long to kill and will really hurt you if you stand and fight against him. This is something we actually started seeing a long time ago in Challenger, which wasn't quite this serious and wasn't quite this good, but followed up by like random items like a hurricane to charge. So that wasn't quite as good as this.
The Wicked Classic?
The Wicked Classic. But these 2 items are so good on Gnar because it gives him tankiness while in Mega Gnar and real fighting power while he's mini.
And I would like to see a GP in this matchup who doesn't just go for the standard build, Trinity Force into Ghostblade. Because I think Ghostblade versus Gnar, specifically in side lane, is useless. The flat armor penetration against a guy who will very easily get at least above 100 armor does very little for you. So I almost want to see some adaptations in terms of builds from GP, like build more towards standard team fighting maybe. Get a defensive item in there against a Gnar, because you know he's trying to deal a ton of physical damage to you, and your job is just to try and hold the lane.
Yeah, so you can get about level, maxed out. 35 minutes into that game, that's when you start to really take off. But
just,
Unicorns
like,
are not
have
keen
a
to
goal
let this slow down. I mean, look what they're doing. Baiting out, trying to make sure they can hide out. We've seen that in straight-up fights, they seem to have the edge. They've got 2 dragons to none. They've got this gold lead still, and they're baiting around Baron right now.
Yeah, when you have a comp that will struggle to hard engage because of Tahm Kench, obviously, on the side of G2, what you do is you just push out your mid lane and you start taking control in River, near Dragon, and near Baron. They've done a good job around Dragon, secured 2 of them. Can do the same around Baron now, and you basically play around forcing G2 to walk into this river blind, having to stop you from potentially doing Baron, versus your insane amount of CC and Kite. And Nivea walls on purple side, baiting Baron when there's 2 small entrances you can walk through and she can wall you off. It is so good.
Yeah, it's so good. And the other option for Unicorns as well, with Chachi pushing so much presence into that bottom lane, is if 3 people come down, you turn to the back.
Yes.
And that's the other play, is if they commit to the other side of the map, you punish them at the objective. Wow, that's really well placed. They can't capitalize on it.
Oh, the arrow goes wide, unfortunately. Mithy is stuck a little isolated away from his team, but that does proc Chachi's Meganar.
And it's very easy for Unicorns to kind of track what's happening on the minimap because Perkz always have to push the wave on top and then walk. He can't TP anywhere, so they know whenever he goes missing from top side, well, he's walking towards mid lane. So let's just back away because we know otherwise he might flank us. And that's how they keep playing around. Now we get another engage.
Teleport coming on in. Chachi's hopping. It's a while before he's got Meganar up and available. Move is caught between the rest of the team. But he goes straight for Zven, who hits him at point-blank range. Meanwhile, Perkz is causing havoc in the backline, but he didn't get enough to finish the job. Chachi a little bit low. He's going to have to hop and skip and jump his way to freedom. Unicorns are blinking health bars, and Hylissang gets a last-second unbreakable, staying alive.
But they kite back from the scenario. They get the TP and the Gangplank ultimate from this. And unless G2 can take more than they're giving away to the Unicorns here, Unicorns actually should be okay. They used 1 flash.
Oh, Perkz! What are you doing? Exileh takes him down!
Exileh just stunned him from around the wall. I don't think Perkz had vision on him. He didn't see the stun in time. It hit him. And then suddenly, with the dot, goes through the pool. Perkz goes down. So great play here from Exileh, hiding around the corner, catching out Perkz, and suddenly Baron is being started.
And G2 tried to engage the Baron. That was the thing. They lost a lot of health to it. The wall up as well.
They can't
G2
get here.
Struggle to get in.
Drake has to steal this.
This is risky.
They see him here move. He's coming in. Now they've got to stop it before it goes down, before they can smite. Arrow, but Exileh, he's turned into an egg, and I don't believe it. Drake steals off the Baron. Exileh is holding off Expect. They will secure 2 kills, but they gave up the big purple worm.
Oh, Unicorns of Love thought they could start the Baron and then hopefully get a few more kills if G2 tried to stop them. But G2 managed to sneak around, Trick gets into the Baron pit, and got it low enough to steal it. Still lost a few kills, so this is the first fight where Unicorns actually don't respect Perkz and his roam from top lane. Look at Perkz here, getting to the back line. Ulti onto 4 members and Protobelt onto almost all of them, meaning now G2 is winning the fight. But then the kite starts. The wall, the slow from Ashe, no one goes down until Exileh hides around the corner with no wards from G2 on this side, so there's no vision on Exileh right now. As soon as he sees Perkz step up here towards the top side,
Give it away.
let's see Perkz, he can't see anything, Perkz can't see anything, there's a stun, goes down.
Yeah, straight into that Ignite, and as you said, through the pool it goes. G2 had engaged the Baron, and Expect kind of lost a bunch of his health here, so they knew they were zoning them back and away from this. So Unicorns feel like they have the position to do this. It is the... Oh, hang on.
Yeah, we're already right back into it, guys. This fight is just not even going to stop this game. Exileh moved incredibly low. Exileh having to flash away, gets the stun off onto Trick, but he's tanking the front line, and in comes Perkz around the backside, taking out Exileh right into the pool. Unicorns' health bars are going way too low. Expect takes down Hilly, and this charge will not stop. Veritas down. Perkz claims another, and that is nearly the ace. Only move is standing.
Sadly for the Unicorns of Love, hit a point now where this G2 lineup is extremely tanky and hard to kill. Vladimir with Pool and a Tahm Kench to eat him. The full tank Rek'Sai in this game, meaning that Unicorns of Love, they just don't have the damage right now. They don't have the scaling on their side with Move as well not being able to do anything to take down these big tanks from G2, and it was all built around pushing that mid, setting up that Baron, not getting collapsed on by Perkz earlier. Sadly for them, They got collapsed on, and then when they tried the Baron, they lost it.
And they've lost the presence that Chachi had in the side lane for this entire duration. He's been forced to come back through to the middle lane, and that hasn't really allowed Unicorns to do anything other than seemingly get engaged upon. We didn't see the start of that fight, but an Infernal Dragon going down now to G2 to add to their collection. As this tower is going to fall to mithy as well. Look at the damage from G2, though.
And while Perkz had such a bad start and honestly cost quite a lot, as you saw here on your graph, like almost 5k damage in the last fight. It was the same the fight before. He's able to reach the backline of this Vladimir now. I guess mithy brings him to the party, goes around, and then you just charge straight in because you know you have the power to save you. Every single time you save the pool, you charge into the backline. You do it again and again. He walks around now. Perkz, you see a look at the top of your screen, onto multiple members again. This is what Vladimir will do late game. Such a monster, such an annoying champ.
This is what G2 were playing for, but they had a rockier road to get there than we could have expected. Currently standing 12-12 in kills. It has not lacked for action. Chachi is completely surrounded. He knows his days are numbered, and that is going to be a flash. Why would you even? You're going to go down. Trick takes him out.
Pyra's angry.
Trying to just waste their time is the answer to that one, but it's only like 2 seconds.
How about his cooldowns, though, man? Come on.
Pyra.
I agree. I'm just telling
Look at
you
me.
why he
I'm
did
the
it.
color caster now.
Oh, help us all.
Yeah, you don't want that.
G2, just 4-man him. Very easy to take him out from that scenario. Expect now going to just clear out top wave. Doesn't even really need to. It's all about just the tower game for G2. They're going to continue to push him down very quickly.
That's going to be another tower falling, and you know, considering just a couple of minutes ago, G2 didn't have the outer turret down there, you can see how well they're able to start shredding through things to equalize some of the ADAP as well, if you consider that they were able to get the Infernal Drake. But at 34 minutes, you know, they are right back in the driver's seat of this game.
Definitely, but G2, this game, they've been lucky.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, after they made so many poor plays in the mid game and fell behind, Unicorns should have been able to just control that mid, control the Baron, get a proper fight where you use a Nivea wall to catch out 1 or 2 members and secure that objective. When Unicorns didn't respect that and then messed up at Baron, well, then suddenly they gave it back to G2.
Here comes the curtain call. Mithy is caught up. The arrow lands right on Zven's face, but in comes Trick around the backside. Glacial Fissure. Perkz there, stunned up under tower for just a few seconds. Move can't sink his fangs in. In comes the GP ultimate. They're hunting for Mithy. They take down Expect. Veritas securing the kill. The boulder comes out. The chase keeps on going, and Mithy's got nowhere to go. 2 kills for Unicorns. And they're looking for more.
Another just messy situation from G2 where they're trying to go top lane, they get cut off, and then they decide to half fight.
It's not over yet.
Too low. Yeah, it's still not over because look, Move is cutting them off.
Oh boy.
Get one here.
Itsy Bitsy Spider, and in comes the Gnar. Perkz, where you going? Right back under tower if he can do it. Walls out, but they're on the other side of it here. Looking for the finishing damage. Trick is way low, and so is Perkz. Flashing away, heals himself right back on up, and Unicorns will have to go home empty-handed.
No minions for Unicorns to take down the tower. No Baron alive either. Looks like they just have to go back and defend that.
Exile.
Oh, that's risky.
Yeah, they got the wall.
For now.
Just
not just yet.
Hang on, no,
Trick is here.
Trick's coming hunting. They are low health bars on these Unicorns, but Trick finds himself caught up by Move. Curtain call comes in. Hylissang blocks it for just a second. The action doesn't stop. We only get reprieves. Trick is coming in, looking for Veritas. They get the shutdown onto Move, and they keep on charging through. The Unicorns are melting away like nothing. Chachi just about to come up into Mega Gnar, but he has got no backup, and G2 is coming to call.
Even using gangbang ulti, and it doesn't matter because they got super minions in the mid lane. And while Unicorns tried their best to get a few kills, end up overextending. G2 with the globals appear behind them, and this was a very back and forth game where both teams made some big mistakes.
Exactly. Mistakes out of both. Unicorns unfortunately sticking around a little too long in the top lane, and G2's late game damage is enough to take game 1.
They can breathe a sigh of relief on the side of G2. Looking forward to see what they can do, but for now, the series leads 1-0.
Let's hope that the Unicorns of Love are able to